Okay, so here are your solutions for that warm up. And just remember, obviously this didn't work because 7's less than 10, and 7 is also a factor of 21. So, all right, so our indirect proof, use indirect reasoning to write a proof. So vocabulary is indirect proof. That's the big one, okay? We're not covering the entire lesson. We're only covering parts, okay, just to kind of get an idea. But we are proving only by contradiction. We are not proving by contrapositive. All right, so here's our essential question. What can you conclude when valid reasoning leads to a contradiction? All right, so here's example 1. Beth had 3 friends over for dinner. The next day, Beth realized one of her friends left a smartphone charger with a white wire at their apartment. So here are the 3 friends. We have Libby uses a wireless smartphone charger. Mercedes' smartphone charger wire was black, and Kelly's smartphone was fully charged for dinner. Just looking at this, whose do you think it is? Kelly's, right? If there's no wire, that doesn't work. If it's a black wire, that doesn't work. Kelly is the only one that was fully charged, so it had to have been hers. At least you hope Beth doesn't, forget that she bought a white wire in some respects, right? So yeah, in this case, it has to be Kelly's because she's the only logical choice. Now, if you guys look right, let me go back. If you guys look right here, it says use a flowchart or table to keep track of details if you have difficulty following the logic in an indirect reasoning problem. This is an example of a flowchart, just kind of stating the facts that you have and then working down from there. Okay. Okay. Questions on that? All right. So take a look at page 32 in your book. Draw a conclusion in the following situation. A bagel shop gives customers a free bagel on their birthday. Fado went to the bagel shop today, but did not get a free bagel. What is that telling us? God, it's not Fado's birthday. He has to pay like everybody else. He's just not that special today, guys. Sorry. But if you know of where Thado gets his bagels from on his birthday, let me know because I love bagels. More importantly, I love free food. So I would like to know where I can get a free bagel on my birthday. That's all I'm saying. Is there any place around here that does something like that you know of? No? Let me know if you do. All right. Anybody still writing? All right. Now this is something you're going to want to write next to example 2. Writing an indirect proof by contradiction. A proof that uses indirect reasoning is an indirect proof. 2 types of indirect proof are proof by contradiction and proof by contrapositive. We will only be doing contradiction. We're not doing contrapositive. So, when you want to prove something by contradiction, this is what you need to do. A statement is given as a conditional. All right, so there's your conditional statement. You assume the hypothesis and the negation of the conclusion are true. Who remembers what negation means? How do we negate something? Go ahead.
That it's like putting no before it.
Yeah. We're adding that no, that not. Okay, so I'm going to let you know this is what this means. This means not Q. And you are only, and this, I'm just going to say, this is negation. This is to negate, just as a reminder. Okay. So, what you guys need to be aware of here is that you are only negating the conclusion only because we always assume that the hypothesis is true. Okay. So you negate the conclusion, show that the assumption of the negated conclusion leads to a contradiction. All right. The best way to do that is to rewrite this as the hypothesis given the negation with Q, with that conclusion. Okay. And then conclude that because of that contradiction, that conclusion is then true, or that conditional statement is then true. Okay. So write this down. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Anybody still writing? Show of hands. Okay. Just checking. Show of hands if you are still writing. Okay. Any day. Oh, that's why. Okay. Okay. So let's take a look at this first example. So it says write an indirect proof of the following statement using proof by contradiction. If Alani walks more than 10 kilometers over a 2-day period, then she walks more than 4 kilometers on one or both days. So here is our hypothesis. Alani walks more than 8 kilometers over a 2-day period. She walks more than 4 kilometers on one or both days. Okay, so that's our conclusion. So what we're going to do is we're going to negate the conclusion stating Alani does not walk more than 4 kilometers on either day. So show that the assumption, the negation of the conclusion leads to a contradiction. So if Alani does not walk more than 4 kilometers on either day, then the total distance she walks over the 2-day period must be less than or equal to 8 kilometers. This contradicts the hypothesis. That's the idea. You're trying to contradict the hypothesis to ensure that the original conclusion was true. Okay? So what can we conclude? That conclusion, the original conclusion must be true. So Alani walks more than 4 kilometers on one or both days. Okay? Questions on that? All right, let's take a look at this next example. I'm going to, again, guide you guys through this a little bit, okay? So it says, write an indirect proof for the statement using proof by contradiction. All right, so if we look at this, we have to assume the conclusion is false. All right, and I'm going to highlight here. Here is our P. Here is our Q. All right, so if we are assuming that the conclusion is false, we are negating it. So that means the negation of Q means that the measure of angle A is not less than 90 degrees. So in the end, you can also write it like this. I just didn't have the correct thing. Oh, sorry. Oh, let me try that again. My goodness. Okay, you would state here that the measure of angle A is not less than 90. That's one way to write it. Sorry. It's been a week. How we doing? Questions so far? All right, so that means like and this is just what I do in order just to show, I rewrite the conditional with that negated conclusion. So if angle A and angle B are complementary, then the measure of angle A is not less than 90 degrees. Is that true? For complementary angles, we have to have at least how many angles and what types of angles do we have to have? What type of angles do we have to have for complementary angles? Acute. So if we're saying that the measure of angle A is not less than 90 degrees, that means it's what kind of an angle? What kind of an angle would it be then? It's not acute. It has to be what? Obtuse. So if this is obtuse, and we're being told that if angle A and angle B are complementary, then the measure of angle A is not 90 degrees, we're saying that this is obtuse. Is that true? No. So since it's not true, we just proved that the original works. That's false. Therefore, the conditional statement or that conclusion, right? The conclusion of that conditional statement in the original is true. Does that make sense? That's the idea behind this. You're trying to get something false to show, hey, no, that original is true. Okay? Questions on this? Anybody still writing? All right, this is just a summary for you have already written this down, okay? It's just a recap. But I want you guys to work on, do you know how on page 34? Okay? Now these two are definitely just does, all right? The first two are does. 6 and 7, just use your common sense. 8 and 9, they're asking you to negate these two comments. All right? How are you going to negate those two? And then 10, you're going to have to probably look at it a little bit closely, okay? So get going on that. Don't get too hung up on 8 and 9. Just how do you negate that statement? Think of it that way. How can you turn that, this equals that into a not? Or this is perpendicular to this into a not. All right, let's talk about these. So, looking at the first one, Tamara only cuts the grass on a day that it does not rain. She cut the grass on Thursday. What does that mean? Yes.
Oh, it was not raining on Thursday.
It was not raining on Thursday. Very good. All right, Gabriella works at the library every Sunday morning. She did not work at the library this morning. Who would like to give me that one? Go ahead. It was not Saturday. Make sense? Pretty simple? Okay. Now 8 and 9. I did see a lot of blanks as I was walking around the room. So, but there were people that did get it correct also. They're saying that the measure of angle JKM is equal to the measure of JKL minus the measure of angle MKL. How could we negate this? Yes.
I said that the measure of JKM is not equal to the measure of JKL minus the measure of MKL.
Perfect. That's it. Are all of you, are those who left it blank, are you like, oh snap, that was actually pretty easy? They just wanted to negate it. That's it. All right, how about 9? PQ is perpendicular to ST. Good.
PQ is not perpendicular.
Right? Questions on these 4 before we move on to 10? Okay, so number 10 looks a lot like the warm-up, but it says, what can you conclude from the following situation using indirect reasoning? And explain. Nadim spent more than $10 but less than $11 for a sandwich and a drink. He spent $8.49 on his sandwich. The cost for milk was $1.49. The cost for orange juice was $2.49, and the cost for a tropical smoothie is $2.89. The cost for apple juice was $2.59. What can we conclude here? You got it? Go ahead. He definitely didn't buy those 2, but what did he buy? Yeah. Orange juice. Nadim drank orange juice with the sandwich. Questions on this? All right. So that's it. Homework is on Savis. Make sure you finish that intro to proofwriting assignment from yesterday too, okay? I won't put those in today, but they will go in next week, okay? That is all she wrote. And those of you watching at home, have a great day.